This is the story of an ancient maritime people. The Moken, often called the Sea Gypsies, have lived along the coastline and islands of the Andaman Sea for thousands of years. Over that time, they have developed extraordinary diving and hunting abilities.
Their movement in the water is really amazing. It's like they are part of the sea. They are fish more than human beings.
Recent decades have seen an influx of tourists to the beautiful Thai coastline, and the reserved sea gypsies find themselves at a crossroads. Their culture and very existence are under threat.
When you lose a species, you lose one of the possibilities of nature. And when you lose a language and a culture, you lose one of the possibilities of the human mind, the human spirit.
After the devastating tsunami of 2004, the Moken people came to international attention. These indigenous people read the signs of the approaching disaster and survived by fleeing to high ground. Yet this ancient people face an existential threat. The fascinating world of the Sea Gypsies may vanish. On the 26th of December 2004, the world woke up to the news of the most devastating tsunami in modern history. Following an earthquake deep under the Indian Ocean, the waves flooded coastal areas, including Thailand's west coast, during the height of the tourist season. The tsunami claimed the lives of almost 250,000 people across Asia. Moments before it struck, a small group of indigenous sea gypsies along the Andaman Sea had fled to high ground.
We are children of the sea. Our culture has a myth that has been passed down to us through the centuries by our ancestors about the tsunami. The birds and the fish told us that the tsunami was coming, and we fled to the mountains.
They had no loss of life. They knew exactly what to do. And every indigenous person, from Costa Rica to Sri Lanka to Africa, went to high ground. People that are illiterate, they can't read or write.
Thailand's Surin Islands, or Koh Surin, are the most remote islands in the Andaman Sea, approximately 55 kilometers from the mainland. These islands are one of the last places on Earth where sea gypsies live a traditional lifestyle. Today, this is a protected area and a part of Thailand's national parks. There are no vehicles here, no shops, and electricity has only been available since early 2013. Tom Henley first encountered the Sea Gypsies, or Moken, through relief efforts in the wake of the 2004 tsunami, which he himself narrowly escaped. An award-winning author, photographer, and environmentalist, Henley has spent the past decade getting to know the island's inhabitants, their culture, and daily lives.
Well, I knew there were Moken here on Costa Rica. I had never been here. I had never met them. And I arranged to get a boat to come out, and the park was officially closed. I don't think the park even knew that they were building houses here. But 35 of these houses had been built without the park's knowledge within just a very short time of the tsunami striking, which was remarkable because most people were still in a state of shock and didn't know how to begin the rebuilding process.
Dr. Naramon Hinshinaran has worked closely with the Sea Gypsy communities over the past 2 decades. As an anthropologist at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, she has extensively researched the Sea Gypsies' history, culture, and lifestyle. She spent a whole year with the Moken people on the Surin Islands and knows the different Sea Gypsy coastal communities in the Andaman Sea firsthand. She believes that the Moken people are at a crossroads. With Thailand rapidly changing, there is a risk that their ancient culture could disappear.
Actually, the whole Andaman Sea used to belong to these people, and they call themselves the children of Andaman Sea because they can fish anywhere, they can moor their boat anywhere, they can settle down on the beach anywhere. Some people said that small children, they can swim before they can walk, so they feel at ease in the sea, and they can dive very deep.
The Sea Gypsies' ability to dive and hunt underwater makes them truly remarkable, a rare knowledge that has been passed down for generations.
The ability to hold breath and stay underwater long periods of time is legendary. But it's just experience. It's like all this talk about, the Moken can see underwater twice as good as a non-Moken person, and there was some suggestion that that might be genetic. Moken means immersed in the water, and that's what the name itself means. So they're truly a marine mammal.
The Moken have their own language. And while they have no written heritage, they do have a very rich oral tradition, where stories, legends, and general knowledge are carefully preserved and passed on. These stories are interwoven with the Sea Gypsies' deep-rooted spiritual beliefs.
They were told by the ancestors, long before they start seeing the signs in nature of deep water fish coming near the surface and hermit crabs going deep into the forest and all these, and the birds calling incessantly, they had already been warned by the ancestors that Laboon was coming, their name for tsunami, And they've survived most of these things because they have this oral tradition. You have doctors and lawyers and aerospace engineers staying in 5-star resorts, graduates from the best universities in the world, Harvard and Yale and MIT, that walked into that wave. This was not a failure of technology. It wasn't a failure because they didn't have an early warning system here. It was the most massive failure of modern education in human history, because we don't have that collective memory that goes back far enough. So this is where these people have a lot to teach us.
There are about 12,000 Sea Gypsies in Thailand today. It is thought that these groups of nomadic sea people that live along the Andaman coastline of Thailand and Myanmar are of Austronesian descent. They may have migrated from southern China about 4,000 years ago and moved down to the Malay Peninsula, eventually splitting up into smaller groups. Historically, they all lived a truly nomadic way of life, on houseboats called kabangs, touching the shores whenever and wherever they needed. Today, only a small number of Moken still live a fairly traditional, semi-nomadic lifestyle. Many have permanently settled on the coast and fish for local markets, as well as making money from the tourist industry. While an increasing number have moved inland and integrated completely into Thai society. As a people who have no word in their language for want and worry, the Sea Gypsies' way of thinking and believing is markedly different to the mainstream. They are animists who believe there is no separation between the spiritual and material worlds, that all things around them have a soul or a spirit to be respected. Every year, the different groups by the Andaman Sea come together at a Sea Gypsy convention. Dr. Naramon considers this an important platform to discuss their problems and the growing obstacles they face in a fast-moving modern society. She acts as an intermediary between the Sea Gypsies and the Thai government.
They use their rules and regulations on the people without recognizing their knowledge. Actually, all the three groups have the knowledge on conservation. For example, when they cut the tree, they have to ask for the spirit of the tree. And sometimes the spirit wouldn't like to give the tree, and they respect that. So, this belief in animism, it's not recognized as conservation, but it's seen, as backward, You're believing in spirits and other things that you can't see.
One of the most desired locations for tourist resort development is Rai Wai Beach, on Thailand's largest island, Phuket. A large population of Sea Gypsies has lived on the beach for about a century, but are now having to prove their right to abode. As this is to a great extent a non-literate society, there are no written records to confirm their history in the area. Isaac Stone Simonelli knows this community very well, being the news editor of the largest local media company, Phuket Gazette. He has seen a change in how the general public in Thailand and the rest of the world view the Sea Gypsies following the 2004 tsunami.
I think what happened is after the tsunami, there was so much international attention on this coast. People started to really, at least the international community, started to recognize that there was this indigenous population, and they, like everyone else along the coast, had suffered. But additionally, they had other barriers to overcome, such as being recognized as a people. I think at that point, they were still struggling to get national identification cards to register them as somebody.
The local gypsies at Rai Wai Beach are facing an unexpected challenge. They must prove the continuous existence of a Moken settlement for the last century.
They're using basically a variety of ways to try to prove their ancestry was in this specific area. No one doubts that as a people they've been along the Andaman coast for ages. They're going and looking at school records. These names have been passed down for generations. They're also using aerial imagery, photos to show that it was here. The other way, they're actually His Majesty the King. There's a documentary from 1959, and that shows him here in Rawai, actually meeting the Sea Gypsy people. You're seeing traditional structures that you're no longer seeing on this site.
I think if we started the work 20 or 30 years ago, then it would be more of a success. But right now we are struggling. We have to go against the current of development, in many aspects. Not only development, but conservation. The Department of National Park and Wildlife, they think that conservation is moving people out of the forest, out of the marine area. And it's not only the heritage of these people, it's the heritage of Thai people, Thai country, and world heritage, actually.
If the Moken can prove continuous occupation here, their right to remain may be recognized. But beachfront property is highly valuable, and some developers have paid large sums to buy deeds to the land. The Thai government is now involved and have sent their Department of Special Investigation to look into the matter. Excavations have found bone fragments believed to be from Sea Gypsies. DNA analysis continues, comparing samples from the bone fragments to the people who now live here. The situation remains unresolved, and the future is unclear. Back on the Surin Islands, one of the oldest sea gypsies here is Sune Klatali. He lives on this kabang houseboat with his third wife. Lately, Sune has noticed a dramatic change in the ocean he has known all his life.
There is much less fish now. I used to be able to get 30 kilos on my own. Now, the commercial fishermen come and take all the fish. The national park do nothing to stop them. We carry out patrols around the park regularly. No fishing is allowed within 3 miles of the national park. I have never seen any commercial fishing boats fishing in the marine park. We regularly make public announcements that no fishing is allowed within the marine park.
Every night you look out around you and these islands are surrounded by large commercial fishing fleets that are eluding these seas. And it's not a handful of Moken that are a threat to this area. The fact they've been living on and off these islands for thousands of years and it's still considered a pristine enough state to make a national park means that they've done a pretty good management job.
Despite the authorities' best efforts to prevent it, illegal fishing seems to be affecting the sea gypsies' diminishing daily catch. But declining fish stocks are not the only challenge. Thailand's unstoppable tourist industry has now reached even these remote islands. The Surin Islands are one of the last refuges for sea gypsies who live a traditional lifestyle. There are 35 families here, comprising about 230 individuals. These are shy people, for whom independence and freedom are very important. His Majesty, the King of Thailand, has shown great interest towards the Moken people. He has allowed them to stay here in the national park. The Queen Mother gave all the different sea gypsy groups in Thailand a family name, and the surname of the people on the Surin Islands is Klatali, meaning courage of the sea. Mok Klatali is 35 years old and lives with his family on the islands. His father, Sunai, has taught his sons everything they need to know about surviving in harmony with nature. Mok, as the oldest, leads the family's hunting party, consisting of his brother, Gag, and their 2 cousins. Ai is the youngest of them and is still learning the ropes. It's early morning and time for Mok and his hunting party to set off. The vessel they're using is a typical Thai long-tail boat with a basic diesel engine. Traditional sea gypsy houseboats, kabangs, are becoming a thing of the past, as the wood used to build them, salaka, is now protected by law.
Right now, these people still have the ability to make a houseboat completely from this forest around us here. They don't have to go to town and buy a nail. They don't have to buy any caulking compounds or anything. It can be made right from this, a boat that can actually be sailed right from this island. And that's a very useful skill. It may be very useful for humanity's future. We have no idea where we're going with this, right?
Yepen Klatale is one of the last people who knows how to build a kabang, a traditional houseboat used by the Sea Gypsies for centuries. The sides of the boat are traditionally made from very light salaka wood, making it virtually unsinkable. The Sea Gypsies regard their boats as living, breathing creatures.
And it has a mouth, it has an anus, it has a head, it has ribs, just like us, and they would actually refer to it as a fish. When two kabangs are approaching, my fish is coming to eat your fish.
In the past, all Sea Gypsies lived on these boats, and today, a few of them still do.
Back in the old days, we lived permanently on boats. We didn't have permanent homes. In the summertime, we sailed to Burma, Phuket and Surin Islands. We were always moving and permanently lived on our kabangs.
Back with the hunting party, Mok decides that this is the best spot to drop anchor and prepare for the hunt. The ocean around the Surin Islands is a magical place, full of amazing and colorful marine life. Some of the species found here are endangered, something that the Moken hunters know and respect. The ocean in which the Moken are fishing is also fraught with danger, although this four-man hunting party is undoubtedly the top predator. The largest threats they face are sharks, barracudas, and the moray eel.
Because I know they say a prayer every time they go in the water, and the prayer in Moken means, "Shark, I do not need to see you today. Let me take this clam, let me get this fish." Because recreational divers come from all over the world here to see sharks, and the Moken would rather not see them.
The Moken have developed an extraordinary ability to dive to depths of up to 30 meters and hold their breath for 5 minutes. In the distant past, Sea Gypsies used their diving ability to collect cowrie shells, which were used as currency across parts of Asia. The Sea Gypsies use the most basic of fishing gear. Mok and his brother use a handmade spear consisting of a bamboo pole with a sharp metal spearhead. Their cousin uses a metal rod with an elastic band attached to spear his prey. morning's catch is rather slim. Overfishing by commercial fleets has taken its toll on these waters. And so-called coral bleaching is also a problem. This phenomenon regularly takes place in the Andaman Sea. Changes in the sea's temperature cause the corals to expel algae and turn white. The marine life which relies on the corals disappears. Climate change is exacerbating the problem. Around 200 kilometers south of the Surin Islands, the PP Islands, just outside of Phuket, are one of the most popular tourist destinations in South Thailand. Over the past few years, tourism has become the mainstay for the island's inhabitants. The old Sea Gypsy village was moved to make way for new hotels. Today, development has advanced so fast that tourist resorts are nearing the Moken's relocated village. On PP, the Sea Gypsies are gradually abandoning their nomadic lifestyle and turning to tourism. Playing the hand they've been dealt and cashing in on the action. Not all Moken accept these new ways. Some want to hold on to the old traditions. These two lifelong friends in their 60s have seen dramatic changes to the PP Islands in their lifetime. They share a small fishing hut just outside the relocated Sea Gypsy village. They, like their forefathers, head out every morning to fish for their own sustenance. Anything they catch will be eaten by them and their families. A motorized boat is one of the few modern additions to this fishing trip. The men still dive directly into the water to fish, as their ancestors have done for centuries. The Sea Gypsies' fishing technique has more in common with hunting than with modern fishing methods. They don't use nets or rods. Instead, they use their intimate knowledge of the water and their incredible diving ability to seek out and spear their prey. Another successful expedition. As they aren't fishing for market, it doesn't take them long to catch what they need. Nearby Koh Phangan is home to one of the oldest Sea Gypsy settlements by the Andaman Sea. Today, this has become a buzzing tourist attraction, and the local community all work for the thriving industry. In this distinctive village, all the houses are on stilts, and only the families living here, or their direct descendants, are allowed to build new homes. The question is, will this be the fate of the other Sea Gypsy settlements in the area, as their culture becomes a spectacle for tourists? After the tsunami in 2004, many Sea Gypsies lost their homes and were relocated inland in government housing. Their former homes by the sea are being redeveloped for tourism. Without experience of modern employment, they have struggled to find work. Their skills as fishermen are of no use here.
I think we have to fight against the current of tourism industry and development. Some families will have to move out from the land, and they're really disappointed that their ancestors lived here on the land, although off and on, and they had to move away to the place that they feel very much attached to.
Southern Thailand has vast palm oil and rubber plantations. It is here that many displaced Sea Gypsies have found employment. But they are losing their Moken language and identity.
So there's similarities, there's differences. The people on the that have been more enculturated into Thai ways would be like a 50-50. It's a mixture of their old ways with the new ways, and they're just becoming more and more Thai all the time, which is what I've seen happen here in the last decade too. It's just becoming more Thai all the time.
So these people, when we talk about self-sufficient economy, it's really a true self-sufficient economy in itself. They don't want to accumulate their wealth. They just want to be happy and go out in the sea. But right now, they feel that they cannot do that.
Back on the Surin Islands, the men are still hunting. Their forefathers fished the waters of the Andaman Sea for thousands of years. The question is, are these Sea Gypsies the last generation to do so? Moken life, even on these remote islands, is definitely changing. Although at first glance it may seem like time stands still here, new technologies and modern ways have now reached these distant shores. Recently, electricity was installed, followed by television and other modern comforts, bringing this community ever closer to the ways of the outside world. All this, along with the establishment of the Thai school, may mean that it is only a matter of time before the village becomes a part of a tourist itinerary. This school was set up by the Thai government following the tsunami of 2004 in line with the UN Convention of providing education for all children. Here, children study in Thai and follow the Thai general curriculum.
Right now, I think the Thai nationalism is really strong, because when the indigenous children go to Thai school, they learn about Thai history, they learn everything to be Thai. If we allow some special form of education so that they can learn about their own history, have their own version of interpreting the world, I think that would be encouragement for the cultural heritage conservation.
I am very proud of my culture. We have our own language. In my grandfather's generation, there was no education. But now things might change.
Elsewhere in the village, after the conventional Thai school day is over, the Moken children are introduced to their own oral heritage and culture. Tom Henley believes that there is a real danger that these oral traditions will be lost in just a few years.
One more generation coming through that school and it won't be there. It'll be gone. And I don't fault Thailand for having that school there. They have to. They signed the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. That calls for an end to illiteracy by 2015. But we're doing that globally. So it's not just the Moken, it's every oral tradition society in the world is under this onslaught to change, to become a literate society. Because we equate illiteracy with ignorance. And that's a huge mistake. It can be ignorance in a literate society, but when you're talking about oral tradition societies, that is not ignorance.
The best thing in the world is to see our children receive education and to study. So they will be more qualified and they aren't getting fooled by anyone.
When we studied the Moken, we learned that they know about 150 species of plants in the forest, and they make use of plants in the forest. But right now in southern Thailand, since the coming of mining industry and tourism industry, so the people are not allowed to make a living in the forest.
After a long day out fishing, the four hunters come back home with their catch and start preparing the evening meal. For centuries, the mainstay of the Moken diet has been fresh fish. This traditional way of eating continues almost unchanged. The women and children in the village are adorned with a yellow pigment called Collet Bay, made from a mixture of the bark of the bay tree and water. It is thought to have a cooling effect and can ward off illness. The Moken people face many dangers to their culture. Their language, lifestyle, and land are all threatened. But for the time being, here on Koh Surin, traditional entertainment and community spirit remain strong. In the future, change seems inevitable. The children of the Surin Islands will likely have very different lives to those of their parents. Education, healthcare, and electricity offer some great advantages for the people here. But the question remains whether or not Sea Gypsy culture can survive modernization.
Survival International says that development plans for indigenous peoples are almost always a disaster, because it's not coming from them telling us what their needs are. We have the idea of how we can save you. This notion of saving the Moken is probably the fastest way to destroy them. We got to get over this arrogance. Level the playing field. We all can learn from each other. You know, if there's a problem with academia today, it's the arrogance of academia. I have letters after my name, so somehow I'm a more important person than you. You're a fisherman. You're a farmer. We should be weighing very high to our fishermen and farmers, because we don't know how to feed ourselves.
So some people said, leave them alone, you know, you don't have to bring development or you don't have to bring knowledge. Just leave them the way they are. But we can't, you know, because everything is closing in, in all directions.
Right now it looks like it's heading down that slippery slope of being amalgamated into the dominant global culture, which I think would be a tragedy, because they say that when you lose a species, you lose one of the possibilities of nature. And when you lose a language and a culture, you lose one of the possibilities of the human mind, the human spirit. And that's happening globally. We know that this is a dangerous thing to be doing, to be, having just like one option out there when we should have many options.
All the Andaman Sea are theirs, but nowadays with all the change, then they find it hard to live in their ancestors' land and sea.
So if you recognize the land rights of indigenous people, they take care of the rest of it. They don't need any assistance at all. Just respect their land rights.
I'm optimistic for them. I think what we've seen the government do is, in the past, ignore them, and we're seeing changes. Identification cards, they're working with them on fishing regulations, and just to see how much effort's being put in by the DSI in dealing with this. As a marginalized people, it's very easy to ignore them, and you're not seeing them as ignored in the same level that they were. They are getting more of a spotlight on them, and perhaps that is a sign of change.
And I really do want to say that it's really to Thailand's everlasting credit that the Moken people here were allowed to continue living in this national park, because the policies throughout most of the world is as soon as you create a park, those people get pushed out. So it's a wonderful thing that was allowed to happen. And if they could just take the next step now, recognize the people's rights to the land and their food resources, and work together with them, they will have set a global model, and that's needed. We're not seeing it anywhere else, and I think this kingdom really has an opportunity here. That's my hope.